What up? Say so, G. Back with another topic, back with another video. See, I know our ambulance is always gonna be up here on these videos if I'm in DC, right? So anyways, the title of this video is gonna be Pivot in order to be successful on YouTube. Hold on, y'all. Let's listen to the sounds of DC, right? So that's what I did just right now. I pivoted, right? Pivot, P-I-V-O-T, pivot. So once again, you have to pivot in order to be successful on YouTube. So admin notes. Thanks again to all the subscribers that have subscribed to my channel. I endeavor to keep pushing these videos out to give you leverage to better yourselves. So let's get into it. So why do I say you need to pivot in order to be successful on YouTube? So I'm gonna say a little story. We'll give you a little story. It's a real story, true story. Happened when I was in the Army. This was 2012. I spent 2 years in Korea. During that time, this is my second time in Korea. And as a backdrop, when I first got there, I was made a platoon sergeant as an E5, as a sergeant, right? As a buck sergeant. That's what they call it, right? There was a huge shortage of NCOs in Korea during the time in the Army, and they were sending us in droves over there. Actually, I was on orders to go to Baghdad, Iraq. A couple months before, I had got them orders, and they canceled my orders to Baghdad to go to Korea. They didn't even sound right. Like, you sent me to Korea instead of deploying me. Like, y'all must have been really, really short, man. But that really happened, right? So, in any case, I became a platoon sergeant, and then I made staff sergeant about 6 months after I got there, right? And once I made staff sergeant, the battalion sergeant major had said, "Hey, we need some instructors down in Wijambu." I believe it's, yeah, that area, right? So, they selected me because I guess I was the most motivated high-speed E5 in the battalion during the time. It's like a crock, sounds like a crock to me. I'm not, like discounting my accolades during that time, but I really didn't want to go. I ain't even gonna front, you know what I'm saying? I was in Seoul. Seoul is like New York City, right? So, I mean, yeah, it was lit down there. So I'm like, I don't want to go to this country rice field, a little small installation to teach students. Didn't want to do that. But I did what the Army told me to do. So I became an instructor. If anybody know anything about the Army, you have to go to a leadership course for every rank you get after E4. So this course that I taught was folks transitioning from E4 to E5. So basically they were transitioning from being a junior soldier to a leader, to an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, right? So a very important school. These schools had to be passed in order for you to actually keep the rank. At this time, we was at war, right? And then, the way it worked was, if you passed the course, you could keep your rank if you was promoted before you went to the course. But if you failed the course, you actually was demoted if you was promoted early. And you had to pay all that money back that you had as an E5. Like, it's kind of crazy, but it was a real thing. So anyway, get into the story real quick before I get to work. There was this one cycle of students that I was teaching. Now this person I'm talking about, he was not my student. He was a student, one of my battle buddies there. This was the day before everybody graduated. The course was 24 days long, and they went through a whole bunch of rigors, training and all these other things, right? And we had this big parade field on base. They had a platform, and the platform was used for graduation. So there were steps on each side of the platform, and it was a huge set of steps in the middle, going into the front. And what happened was, The students would come from one side of the platform, walk up those little small set of stairs. They would get the diploma, shake the commandant's hand, the first sergeant that we had there, and 2 other people. And then they would walk off on the other side of the platform. And then once they got to the end of the platform, once they got to, I guess, the front of the platform, they would do a left face to move off the platform, to move off the platform in the area, and they would just start to march back to their seat. A simple move in the Army. You know what I'm saying? Nothing crazy about it at all. Like, we do this stuff all the time in drilling ceremony, right? So the left face movement that these folks were doing was a pivot. They pivoted around the platform to get back to their seat. There's one soldier, I'll never forget him. I don't know what his name is, but he was a taller black soldier. And I remember him because he was tall. He was like about 6'4", 6'5". And he was having a hard time pivoting off the platform once he got down to the bottom of the steps in order to get to his seat. Instead of him making a sharp left turn, he would just walk around the turn, right? Instead of pivoting. And me and my instructor buddies, we sitting here like you about to be a sergeant, man. Like you. But here's the thing. I think he was having a bad day. I didn't ask him about this during the time after this all transpired. But I think he was really having a bad day. And he just didn't feel like marching. He got in his feelings, right? It's crazy. Like why would you do that? So we all getting pissed off, you know what I'm saying? It's like 12 of us instructors looking at this guy keep doing this. He did it 3 times. So after the 3rd time, one of the female instructors that I was really good friends with had walked up to him and told him, hey, if you don't make this left turn the proper way, then we're gonna have an issue. So he walked back up there, went through the whole gambit. And then when he actually got to the point where he needed to make that left turn, that left face, you know, the pivoting around the platform, he actually looked over his shoulder and stared down the female sergeant. Basically, to spite her, just to look at her like, okay, I did your damn pivot. Are you happy now? Absolutely ridiculous. Man, do you know, it's funny, but it's not funny. Because once it gets to the end of the story, you're gonna see why it's not funny. So he does this, and as he's walking back to his seat, we on his ass. Like we jump up to him and everything. Like, what the blah 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 blah. I mean, we just all in his ear, all these other things. We're not drill sergeants, right? But he did it on purpose, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you went through all this rigor during this course to keep your sergeant stripes, right? He was already a pin E5, and all you had to do was a freaking pivot. That's all you had to do. A simple military movement drill in order to get around the platform to get back to your seat. And instead of you doing this the proper way, you did an exaggerated pivot to spite the person that actually got in your ear. So I had to take him over there to the commandant. I don't know why. I think my battle buddy that was his actual instructor was so pissed off that he was like, man, I can't deal with this, man. You need to deal with this. Well, okay, fine. You know what I'm saying? I was the one that folks always, I don't know why this was, but I was always the one selected for the troublesome soldiers. I was always the one that my instructor buddy said, hey, I got a soldier that's acting the ass. I need to go over here and counsel him or counsel her. I don't know why. I was a counselor. I was the unofficial counselor of these students, right? So I walk him over to the commandant. Commandant is the E9, right? He was in charge of the actual academy itself. And I'm not really asking many questions. I'm pissed off too, right? But I could see in his face that he was really disappointed in himself when he did after this transpired. So once I get into the commandant, I'm like, why did you do this? And he said, Sergeant, I really don't know. I'm just having a bad day, and it was just a situation that happened, and I apologize. But that ruined his career. It really did, because during that time, if you got kicked out of an NCO school, basically you was on the road to get kicked out of the Army, right? So that's all to say is that, and on YouTube, if you have something going on that's not working and you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, you need to pivot. You need to change your tactics. You need to change strategy, right? Tweak it, work it out, try something different, do something to make sure that you're not standing in place and running in place and not making any movement. One of the worst things that you can do in life, and it's a saying that a lot of folks say, is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, even though you're getting the same result after you keep doing these things. So I know it was kind of a convoluted story, but I just wanted to give some awareness to this because I think folks, when they get to a certain point on YouTube, they keep doing the same thing and they don't know how to pivot, or they don't want to pivot, and they're saying like, I'm just going to keep pushing this thing over and over again until it works. And a lot of times it's not the case, man. You know what I'm saying? You need to pivot. You need to move around and do different things, and I promise you, you may get a better result and a conducive result if you pivot, all right? So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. You want me to discuss this topic or subject you think is beneficial to the channel? Email at asog757@gmail.com. My email address is in the description below. Say so G, signing out. I'm gone.